Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it's time for day 2 of the Jaded Blossom release for November. And I have a little card set to share. I used the new Fair Isle stencil, which is awesome, the Reindeer Blend stamp set, which is new. I also used the coffee dies, the Christmas banner dies, and the peppermint candy dies. There's a new release of that, or a new redo of that one actually. So here we are. I've got my piece of, I also use the card mat dies. I have a piece of Nina Desert Storm cardstock down on cut with my card mat die, and it's on my Wendy Vecchi Make Art station. And basically I'm doing an ink blend over this stencil. So I started with the Ripe Persimmon. Now I'm on to Candied Apple. I'm using the Tailored Expression blending brushes for this here. And I just wipe it on a microfiber cloth in between colors. And now I'm going to bring in the Fired Brick. Oh, there I am. I'm going to wipe it off. Now I'm bringing in the Fired Brick, sorry. And I'm just going to bring that around the edge. Basically, I'm making my own background paper, which is lots of fun. There we go. Love this Wendy Vecchi Make Art station. It's easy to clean up and wipe. And now I'm cleaning that one off, and I'm grabbing a black blender brush. It's just a no-name one. And I'm using Black Soot Distress Oxide ink. And I'm just bringing that in just around the edge. And then I'll go back with the Fired Brick and I'll, blend it out a little bit there. And I will wipe it off on the microfiber cloth after, just to get that black off there. And I do this 3 times because I'm making 3 cards today. So there we go. Isn't that cute? I used the purple tape just to make sure the stencil was aligned nicely. And there we go. So there's a new one that's done, and there's one that's dry. You see what? That one's shiny. That one's a little bit. So now I'm taking some die cuts that I did with the Nina Desert Storm, and I'm just ink blending on top of them. I just have it stuck down to the reverse side of some purple tape, and I'm using the Candied Apple, and then I'm going to bring in the Fired Brick with a little tiny blender brush just around the edges. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just trying to add a little bit of definition. I wanted it to match my background. That's why I blended onto Nina Desert Storm, just so it looks the same as the background, because the Distress Oxide ink looks a little bit different depending on what paper you use. So this is Paper Tray Ink's white cardstock, 4.25 by 11 inches, scored at 5.5 inches. Using my Martha Stewart scoreboard and some Teflon bone folders. I also cut the little coffee pools, or the inside of the jars, out of the white cardstock, and I used a Copic marker. I think it was Copic marker number E49 to color them in. So now I'm going to just put together my coffee cups. I used my Gina K Connect glue. And I am just quickly putting together these little coffee mugs that are going to be going on my background. So nice and easy, nothing too crazy. So I have 3 of them to put together here. Now this is at 2 times speed, so no, I don't put things together this quickly. This video took a little bit longer, so I had to do some editing. So like I said, it's at 2 times speed. So this is not as fast as I normally craft. So there we go. Again, I'm putting things together on my Stampin' Up! Mat because that's kind of how I roll when I'm doing videos. And there we go. So I actually found this ink blend online, and I will, I'll mention who it is on my blog. I just don't know it off the top of my head right now. So now I'm adding my backgrounds that I created with ATG tape to my vertical A2 sized card bases. So those are 4.25 by 5.5 inches. This is the card mat die. Just folding in the edges of my ATG tape there. And then I'll add it to my card base. You notice I always check because I do put them upside down sometimes, which is a real bummer. So there we go. I love how the Distress Oxide inks look on like craft cardstock. I just think it looks, I don't know, it gives it a really neat look. There we go. So I was looking for a different Christmas kind of blend. That's what I was going for. So now I'm going to put together the little mint candies, super fast. The background is just cut out of white, and the foreground, the little swirl, that was cut out of Desert Storm, and then I blended the Distress ink on top, just so they matched the background. There we go. And I'm using my reverse tweezers just to get my fingers out of the way and make the 3 little mints pretty quick. And now I realize, darn it, I was supposed to put that behind my whipped cream. So I just peeled it up a little bit, stuck it behind the whipped cream, add a little additional glue in there, and I do that to all 3 mugs. And there we go. So now I'm moving on. I am going to pop up my little images on the front of these little mugs now. Now this one's a little gingerbread man. That's from the Christmas banners. This one is a little stocking. And you'll notice that I'm trying to keep, like I didn't want to add any more patterns or colors. I just wanted to kind of stick with like what I had going there. I didn't want it to be too busy. So the mugs are staying white. And, the only colors that I bring in are the craft and the matching red. And like I said, I'm popping up some more images on this one. This one, I believe, these are the little holly berries and the little holly leaves. So I'm going to pop that up onto this little mug also. So this is a super easy, like a quick little easy set. You can do so much creating with Jaded Blossom stuff. You don't have to use it just, as they're made. You can, pull in other supplies. And, there are adorable mugs that go with this stamp set, but I thought, why not? I'll make my own little Christmas mug. So there we go. For people that don't really like the coloring, right? So now we've got our little mugs getting assembled here. And now I decided to add, I just cut inside that little stitching line. And I cut it again in the Nina Desert Storm, and then I just cut on the inside of the little stitching lines. You'll still see the stitches, and just attached it just to give it some interest because it was looking a little boring there. So there we are. So now I cut out 4 of these banner dies, and I always use my Gemini to cut out all my die cuts. And now I'm using the back of my Misty actually to freehand stamp. Now you know that when you're freehand stamping, you get a better image sometimes when you're on something a little bit more cushiony. And so basically that's that. So I'm using my VersaFine Onyx black ink here and just a normal acrylic block, and I'll do some stamping. You'll notice off to the side I've already tested this stamp, and that was the first stamp that's off to the right. And look how nice it turned out. So, these stamps from Jaded Blossom usually don't need a lot of conditioning. I usually just stamp it once off to the side to make sure it stamps well, and 9 times out of 10 they do. So there we are. So this one says the best mugs are Christmas mugs. So now I'm going to put these together. The sentiments are going to go right down there along the bottom. I'll do that to all 3, and I attach them with my ATG gun again. So super fast, flip it over, cut off the edge, and I'll do that to all 3. And like I said, using my ATG gun, and I'll just put it right along the bottom there. I didn't want to bring in anything extra to this card. The star is kind of the background, right? That blended background. There we go. So I'm just adding all 3 sentiments. I like to do this assembly line style, when I'm making a bunch of cards. Sometimes when I come up with a design, it's nice just to crank out a few. If you're like me, you send out a lot of Christmas cards, so you might as well, right? You're here. So now I'm popping up my mug using my 3M foam tape. I use on smaller images and things, I tend to use my Stampin' Up! Dimensionals and the mini and the large or the normal size. And then I'll use my my 3M foam, when I'm popping up a little larger areas. There we go. And I'm just trimming it to fit and, messing around with my foam tape there. The nice thing is when you peel off the backing, it's pretty flexible, so you can bend it around a handle or bend it around a shape for a shaker card or something like that. So that's quite nice. So keep that in mind. It's always a nice way to use that foam tape, just peeling off both sides of that the peel or the peel off backing, and it'll shape to whatever shape you want it to be. So now I'm going to be adding my Nouveau, what's that stuff called? Nouveau Glitter Accents in Fresh Snowfall. It's almost like stickles. In fact, I would say it's kind of stickles. So I just kind of dab it on. I just wanted it to be sparkly, and that's that. So I added it to all 3. Like I said, super fast and easy. Now I'm going to add on a couple of these I think they're 3mm Google Eyes from Studio Katia. And I'm just dropping on 2 little Google Eyes onto my gingerbread man. Might as well, right? And there, like super fast and easy. Now I decided to pull in my clear Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. Now be careful, because this, you see it picks up the color, because Distress Oxide inks are water, what's the word I want? They move with water. So you don't want them to, you don't want to, make them jump their borders, and, they will suck into other colors. So you got to be careful. And you want to, sort of brush off the end of that Spectrum Noir sparkle pen when you're done, because it will, suck up some of that Distress Oxide ink. And I tried not to go right to the edge, but I wanted to, to have a little bit of glimmer, which is fun. And there we go. So I do that to all 3, little peppermints. Now, a lot of times I'll add glossy accents onto this too, but glossy accents will also cause Distress Oxide ink to run if you're, so that white and red of the mint would be a bad idea, because the red would go into the white area and it would make a mess. So now, like I said, I'm adding the sparkle to this stocking, and I'm only going to, I leave about 1 millimeter or so, between the red and the Nina Desert Storm. Now I'm going to be adding some texture with my Nuvo Crystal Drops in Simply White. Be careful that you don't go on to the Distress Oxide ink, because like I said before, it'll pull that color into the drop, and then you won't have bright white drops. You'll have whatever color it makes, when it sucks up some of that color. Now I decided to add a little bit of texture to the mugs, and because it's white, it still stays in the background, but it gives a little funky texture. So I'm just doing a lot of drops all over these little mugs. And I kind of liked how they turned out. They look really cute. It has a lot of texture, but, no added color or anything like that will, cause it to be a little bit too busy. There we go. Like, how cute is that? You got to love that. And you can use those Christmas banner dies, just for the little images. You don't have to make the actual banners. In fact, a lot of times I just use the little images instead of the whole banner on the card. So, think outside the box, use your dies for other things. It makes them worth the money, right? So there we go. I'm just adding all the little dots still. And this was, like I said, this is sped up to 2 times. So, it does take me some time to create. I'm not this quick. And there we go. But I really loved this ink blend in the back. I think I ended up seeing it on Pinterest or somewhere. It was just, I was thinking, I'd like to blend some reds together, because I just want it to be kind of red. And this was on Pinterest, and I thought, this is kind of neat, bringing in the black soot and the ripe persimmon. I wouldn't have thought of that. And I quite liked it. It was kind of a different look for Christmas. So that's what I was going for, something a little different. And it's fun, right? There we go. There's my little dotted mug. And it's textured. And I'm going to do the last one now. The one with the little gingerbread man, which is kind of fun. So I'm loving this release so far. I really, really like the stencils this time around. Well, I usually do, but I quite liked the stencils. Lots of fun to use. And, adorable images as always, adorable sentiments. Like, that goes without saying. And of course, like, come on, that Build a Christmas Tree die, you just need to have that. That's just adorable. You could make some really quick, Christmas tags with that one. Pop a hole in the top, tie some twine on there, and you're in business for some really cute little tags. And, you can kind of do that mindlessly while you watch TV, right? There we go. And like I said, I'm adding my little droplets, avoiding the background Distress Oxide ink, because I have done that before where I've put it on top of Distress Oxide, and it does suck the color up into them. And if that's the look you're going for, actually, it can be pretty. But if you want white drops, they're not going to be white anymore. Trust me. Anyways, thank you so much for stopping by for day 2. And make sure to come back tomorrow to see what we have for day 3. And make sure to stop over at Jaded Blossom's blog to see what all the design team has come up with. Because, they're always great. And they come up with some great things. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye.